Okay. On with these GameFAQs. Oh god, my computer's making a horrid sound right now. Oh. This is just not working very well. I'm sorry. Oh. AOOO. An examination of the basics. Upon connecting with the client user, you, the server user, will be met with a control panel allowing you to manipulate your co-player's environment. You will find that you are allowed to deploy 4 items at no expense. 3 of these are rather large machines, and 1 is a punch card. It's quite possible that you have already deployed some of these items before reading this. If this is the case, and you have activated the machine called the Cruxtruder, such that it displays a countdown, you must proceed to section A100 of this walkthrough immediately. The life of the client user depends on it, and if your co-player has activated this device in your environment too, then yours does as well. But if not, please refrain from doing anything with the Cruxtruder, aside from merely deploying it. This will buy us some time to think things through properly, and to go over the basics of the game before you find your soft, easily punctured head in the jaws of the lion. As mentioned, there are 4 items to consider, each playing a role in a process which appears to have a singular purpose: to manufacture objects out of thin air. The designers of the game, judging by the language used, regard this process as a sort of alchemy. This may allude to complexities in the production process yet to present themselves, but for now, the variety of objects you are able to create remains quite limited. The items in question are the Cruxtruder, again tread lightly with this one, the totem lathe, the alchemeter, and the pre-punched card. I will describe how these devices work in conjunction with each other, and I will use the analogy of having a key made at a hardware store to help you understand. First, deploy all of these objects in convenient proximity to each other. Be sure not to block doors or pathways with them. You can always revise the dimensions of the rooms to make space for them, but I advise against this, or even experimenting with the function. Doing so comes at the expense of build grift, a commodity which appears to be at a premium at the onset, and one you'd best be advised to save for later. The Cruxtruder. Removing the lid signals the moment your life becomes a great whirling batshit pandemonium, somewhat resembling the chaos of an especially ethnic wedding. Somewhere, a soused uncle deliberately shatters china on the floor. Muddy livestock is decorated, and they're lost track of. The question, whose meal is this, at times can be heard over the din. This is now your reality. Aside from that, it marks the beginning of the process I'm about to describe. The countdown begins, yes. Also, an entity called the kernel sprite is released. But none of these things are all that relevant to this process, to my knowledge. More on these things later. What is relevant is the unlimited Cruxtruder's ability to dispense Cruxite dowels. It will dispense at least 1, though I suspect it is capable of producing more. Given parameters I'm not yet familiar with. In my key-making analogy, these dowels represent the uncarved pieces of metal which the hardware store employee retrieves from a drawer or rack, and sets about carving into a key. The 2 following items are needed to do the carving. The pre-punched card. It is a simple Silodex card containing an item. There is evidence to suggest specific item it contains is variable from session to session. The card I deployed contained a blue apple. Yours may be different. It shouldn't matter, hopefully. Additionally, the card, as you may guess, is punched, like one uses with antique computing systems. The pattern of holes comprises data, which I believe corresponds to the instructions for creating the item the card contains. That it is pre-punched suggests there is a way to punch an unpunched card, possibly imprinting it with the data for the item it contains, though no mechanism for this has been presented itself yet. But the data on the card cannot be used to create the item directly. There is a middleman. That middleman is the totem lathe. The totem lathe. This is essentially the key carving machine. It will carve into your Cruxite dowel a pattern of grooves and contours, the sort which makes a key unique. The instructions for this pattern are supplied by the punch card, which is inserted into the lathe pre-activation to configure its chisels. Once the dowel is carved, you have a totem serving as your key, which can then be used to unlock the card item through the alchemitor. But at this point, I will diverge from my key-making analogy and switch to a barcode analogy, which is not terribly strenuous leap to make, since the concepts of a key and a barcode are essentially the same, one being a unique pattern of grooves, the other of varying black lines. The alchemitor. If you place a Cruxite dowel, carved or uncarved, on the alchemitor's small pedestal, its robotic arm will scan the contours with a laser, hence the barcode analogy. This is the machine's way of reading the data originally imprinted from the card and transforming that data into a physical object. Though typically this is not done without expense, I believe. An uncarved dowel results in the creation of a perfectly generic object, which is a seemingly useless green cube. It costs 2 units of build grist to make, and I do not advise you waste resources on it. There appears to be many other varieties of grist, ostensibly used in combinations to create different sorts of items, which possibly offers some insight into the game's use of the term alchemy. But quite conveniently, there is an exception to this. Creating the item on the pre-punch card costs nothing. This is good because creating this item turns out to be essential. Now that you know this, you can, in your own time, begin the process. Once you initiate it, naturally there is no going back, so best be prepared. But you probably shouldn't drag your feet too long. As I mentioned earlier, this is your only means of escape. When you're ready, be prepared to follow the steps in the next section swiftly. 0100. So your crux shooter is ticking. Do this to live. Wow, it took me 7.5 minutes to read it this time. Okay. Woo, back to Rose. She looks so pleased with everything right now. In the distance, meteorites fall with greater frequency. The fire in the forest burns so hot, not even the rain is putting it out. Rose, check status of battery. Wow, internet. Thank you. Your laptop battery is alright for now, but it won't be for long. If the power in the house doesn't come back on, you can think of one last resort. The small backup generator stored behind the mausoleum. Rose, prototype sprite with Betty Crocker box. John is not pleased. What? Oh man, you're not going to use that. That sucks. What a stupid idea. We have to hurry along. I'm running low on battery power. But the cake mix. Ugh, that's so dumb. I doubt it matters. We might as well just use any old crap lying around. Fine, I guess. Grumpy John. The spray is playing hard to get. You guess that's what you get for originally prototyping it with something that engenders mischief and pranksterism. Do the potted vegetable instead. It looks delicious. Pipe down, you. This is Rose's decision, not yours. Rose. Prototype sprite with Sassika text. He's so happy about that. Sudden mood shift, John. Oh yes, sweet! Now we're talking. See if you can distract it. I'll try to sneak up on it. John, flail about in a distracting manner. Oh, that's just a weird manner, not a distracting one. The sprite finds the distracting manner in which you flail about to be rather distracting. The pesky sprite eludes you again. Not even the great Colonel himself can outfox it. You're narrowly missing with your attempt to create the Colonel sprite. You drop the massive tome. The entire house rattles under the astonishing girth of the book. In the other room, Nana's ashes dump onto the sprite, which is caught unawares by the dousing. Inspect Hag Ash incident. You find the sacred herb toppled again. This time you are quite sure it wasn't your fault. The sprite is nowhere to be found. Rose, remove Crux Intruder from doorway. Oh man, where'd it go? I can't find it anywhere in the house. No time to worry about it. The next thing we should do is get your server copy of the game from the car. You need to connect to my client so I can repeat your steps and presumably join you, wherever you are. We should do this rather quickly, before my house burns down. What, there's a fire? There will be soon. Oh jeez, submit this thing already! It looks like it requires a lot of grist to move. I don't have enough to relocate the door either. How much do you have? 0. Oh, I thought about jumping to the car from the ledge earlier, but that sounds really dangerous. I have a better idea. Meet me up the stairs. Do a gate, as Pepper Word says. You were about to head upstairs, but you thought you heard something behind you. It was faint, but you could swear it was a small, light-hearted chuckle, along the lines of a spirited hoo-hoo-hoo. Ignore this woman's antics. You're not sure you even saw a woman, let alone any of her hypothetical antics. But whatever it was, you might have caught a glimpse of it. It sure gave you the willies. You head upstairs on your way to the balcony. Your PDA is acting up again. Indulge the device, but be curt with it. And okay, I think I will stop here and continue on from this point tomorrow, because I don't think I'm fast enough to read all of that in the 3 minutes I have left, because I am a really slow reader. Okay, well, that's it for today. Bye.